The Volume 1 of Stranger Things, Season 5 arrived, and it left us with impressive episodes. Many fans completely loved the result, but others were not entirely satisfied. Who is right? We will find out. Today on Charlietales, we will analyze the good and the bad of Stranger Things, Season 5 Volume 1. Ready? Let's begin. My first good point is the character development. Volume 1 allowed many characters to evolve or recover their essence from the early seasons. For example, Mike. Many of us knew Mike as the leader of the group since Season 1, the one who organized the plans and gave courage to the others. However, this role was lost a bit in Season 4, partly because they gave too much importance to his romantic relationship with Eleven. Now in Season 5, Mike resumes the leadership of the group. We constantly see him making smart plans, leading the team, and even motivating them. There are moments in which Mike's presence is decisive. The most evident is when Will awakens his powers. Let's remember that Mike was the one who told Will that maybe he could control the hive mind if he tried. Mike gave Will the idea, and he awakened his powers partly to defend Mike. Maybe Mike is not the strongest of the group, nor the smartest, but he is a natural leader. He inspires the others to fight and to bring out the best in themselves. In the final battle, Mike stood out by protecting the kids and his friends. He did everything he could to lift Will, who was injured. Mike didn't save the day, nor defeat anyone important, but he has been decisive so that the protagonists have a chance against Vecna. Another character who evolved is Dustin. In the early seasons, he was a sweet and cheerful kid. He always saw the bright side of things. However, in Season 5, his shine faded. He lives lamenting Eddie's death. He is no longer the sweet boy who helps everyone. We even see him being a little selfish by giving priority to his personal battle against the school bullies. This might have bothered many fans, but it meant a lot for Dustin's development. In the cemetery, we saw him directly facing several enemies by himself, something he would never have done in the past. Dustin is now braver and more determined. Pain is affecting him, but it will also allow him to mature more. Dustin suffered a lot, and it would be foolish to expect him to remain someone bright. I have high expectations for him, and I think Volume 1 made the right decision with his story. I also need to mention Will. Without a doubt, he was the best of Volume 1. Will is receiving extremely important character development. Since he was kidnapped many years ago, he was marked as a weak child who needed protection. This has been terrible for him for years. But finally in Volume 1, we see him take control of his life and face his destiny. And he did this even before obtaining his powers. Robin gave him the necessary confidence to confront his mother and fight against Vecna. His powers at the end are only the result of all this bravery. Will finally left fear behind. He accepted his past trauma and is using it to defeat Vecna. Will awakened his powers because he dared to connect with the hive mind. He already stopped being afraid. He did it for his friends, but also for himself. For years, Will felt like he didn't belong in this world. He thought he didn't fit anywhere, but now he gave himself space with courage. The powers were only the result of this decision. I love what they are doing with Will. He deserved this treatment. I want to see more of him in the future. As a small extra point, I want to mention a couple of secondary characters. Erica, Lucas's little sister, was great. She was very entertaining to watch. Her character has charisma and strength on screen. She made me smile several times. And I also want to give a special mention to Derek. Seriously, this kid annoyed me since the moment I saw him. But then he earned my respect, and I even supported him. Derek was decisive in executing Mike's plan. He even dared to challenge the military face-to-face. I love this boy. My second good point is the promises for the future. Volume 1 of Stranger Things had the difficult job of creating expectation for the grand finale of the series. They needed to show us something impressive for the fans, and they definitely did. In these episodes, they planted valuable plots that we all want to see develop. For example, Kylie's return. Number 8 was a fairly forgotten character in the series, and they finally brought her back. I'm dying to know what will happen with her and how she will help in the battle against Vecna. Another impressive point was Will's new powers. I don't have to argue much about this. We were all stunned when Will awakened his powers. It was an incredible scene and revealed a brutal development for Will. This revelation was the best part of these 4 episodes. As I said, Volume 1 couldn't be filler. They had to show incredible things to prepare us for the grand finale. Will's powers fully accomplished this. I have great expectations, and I want to know what will happen with them. Lastly, in this point, I also have to mention the subplot of Max with Henry. For years, many theories emerged about what happened with Max. Finally, they gave us an answer. She got trapped in Henry's mind and has been hiding to survive. I loved seeing Max back. It would have been very unfortunate if she only appeared when she woke up from the coma. With this revelation, we know that the fight against Vecna will take place on several fronts. Mike and his friends will look for him physically. while Max will attack Henry from her mind. Max will help in the final battle, and I want to see the result of this. She will finally get revenge for what Vecna did to her in the past. This is another promise that Volume 1 has planted, and we will surely see the answer soon. So Volume 1 fully delivered on promising things for the future of the series. I'm sure the result will not disappoint us. Now let's go with the bad of Volume 1. If I had to choose a negative point, it would be certain weak characters. Part 1 has shown several characters who shone, but there are others who still don't have their moment. For example, Jonathan, who hasn't done anything relevant. Personally, I think Jonathan is already staying as a background character. I don't see interest in making him shine like before. In these 4 episodes, he didn't have any great moment. Maybe the most striking thing is his rivalry with Steve, but I think this topic expired a long time ago. Extending it more feels unnecessary. It seems like they only want to center Jonathan on his problems with Nancy and Steve. I think it's a mistake to focus his story so much on his personal issues. The rest are fighting against the end of the world, but Jonathan's plot feels superficial. I didn't even feel that he connected enough with Will, who is his brother. I think the writers have trouble deciding where to put Jonathan, and it's understandable. Many characters are already attached to Will. For example, Mike, Robin, and Joyce. It would be excessive to place Jonathan as a support character for Will. That's why they distanced him, both physically and in his plot. But this affects Jonathan, who ends up without much relevance. I hope they give him his space in Volume 2, but until that arrives, I consider him a weak character. Another somewhat boring character is Holly. At least from my perspective, she still doesn't take off. She had many minutes on screen, and they tried hard giving her a story directly connected with Henry. But even so, she hasn't managed to impact or attract the fans' attention. This is concerning considering that even characters like Derek or Erica shone although they had very few scenes. If it weren't for Holly reuniting with Max, her story would have been completely disposable. Most likely, Holly's relationship with Max will be very important in the future, and this will make her stand out as a character. But for now, Holly's scenes bored me quite a bit. In conclusion, Volume 1 of Stranger Things Season 5 is quite good. It has slow moments, but also other great ones that excite. There are boring characters, but they have potential to shine in Volume 2. For me, the 4 episodes met the expectations, and I'm eager to see the end of the series. That's all for today. If you liked the video, you'd really help me out by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also, remember to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.